The US dollar has reigned supreme in the global economy for decades. It is the primary currency for international trade and financial transactions. Central banks around the world hold the majority of their foreign exchange reserves in US dollars. This dominance gives the United States significant economic and geopolitical leverage. The dollar's strength is rooted in the size and stability of the US economy. It is also supported by deep and liquid financial markets. However, the global financial landscape is in flux. Several factors are challenging the dollar's dominance. The rise of alternative currencies is one such challenge. The growing economic might of China and other emerging economies is another. The US dollar's preeminent position is not guaranteed. It is worth examining the potential for a shift in the global currency order. The US dollar's dominance has brought many benefits to the United States. It has allowed the country to borrow at lower rates. It has also facilitated international trade and investment. However, this dominance also comes with responsibilities. The United States must maintain a stable and open economy to preserve the dollar's global role. The world is watching closely as new economic powers emerge. The future of the US dollar as the world's leading currency hangs in the balance. The US dollar's dominance is being challenged by the emergence of alternative currencies. The euro, the yuan, and cryptocurrencies are among the most prominent contenders. The euro is the currency of the European Union. It is the second most traded currency in the world. The eurozone represents a significant portion of global GDP. This makes the euro a viable alternative to the US dollar for some countries. China's yuan is also gaining traction as a global currency. China is the world's second largest economy. It is rapidly expanding its international trade and investment. As a result, more countries are using the yuan for transactions. China is also actively promoting the yuan's internationalization through various initiatives. Cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin and Ethereum are digital currencies. They operate independently of central banks. They have gained popularity in recent years as a decentralized and potentially more stable alternative to traditional currencies. While cryptocurrencies are still in their early stages of development, they have the potential to disrupt the global financial system. The rise of these alternative currencies reflects a broader shift in the global economic landscape. The world is becoming increasingly multipolar. Emerging economies are playing a more significant role in international affairs. As a result, the US dollar's dominance is likely to be challenged in the coming years. The global balance of economic power is shifting, and this shift is more pronounced than ever before. Emerging economies, particularly China and India, are experiencing rapid growth, which is propelling them onto the world stage. This unprecedented growth is transforming the global economic landscape, altering trade routes, and reshaping international markets. It is also challenging the traditional dominance of the United States, which has long been the world's leading economic power. China, in particular, has become a global economic powerhouse, with its influence extending far beyond its borders. It is the world's second-largest economy, trailing only the United States in terms of GDP. It is also the largest exporter and the second-largest importer, playing a crucial role in global trade. China's economic influence is felt worldwide, from Africa to Europe and even in the Americas. India, with its vast population and booming technology sector, is another rising economic star, making significant strides in various industries. India's economy is projected to surpass that of Japan and Germany in the coming years, positioning it as a major global player. The combined economic might of China and India is reshaping global trade patterns and financial flows, creating new opportunities and challenges. This shift in economic power has significant implications for the US dollar's dominance, which has been a cornerstone of the global financial system. As China and India continue to grow, they are demanding a greater role in global economic governance, seeking to influence policies and decisions. They are also seeking to reduce their reliance on the US dollar, exploring alternative currencies and financial systems. China, for instance, is promoting the use of the yuan in international trade and investment, aiming to establish it as a global currency. It is also establishing alternative financial institutions, such as the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, that operate independently of the US-led Bretton Woods system, providing new avenues for international finance. The rise of China and India is creating a more multipolar world, where multiple centers of economic power coexist and interact. In this new world, the US dollar is likely to face increasing competition from other currencies, leading to a more diversified and dynamic global financial system. Section 4. Cracks in the foundation. Analyzing the factors threatening US economic power. In this section, we will delve into the various elements that are posing a threat to the economic dominance of the United States. While the US dollar remains the world's dominant currency, its position is not unassailable. The strength of the dollar has been a cornerstone of US economic power, but this foundation is showing signs of stress. Several factors are contributing to the potential decline of US economic power. These factors are multifaceted and interconnected, creating a complex web of challenges. These factors could ultimately undermine the dollar's global standing, leading to a shift in the balance of economic power. One key factor is the growing US national debt. The national debt has been increasing at an alarming rate, raising concerns about the country's fiscal health. The United States has run large budget deficits for many years. These deficits have been driven by a combination of high government spending and lower tax revenues. This has led to a ballooning national debt. The sheer size of this debt is becoming a significant burden on the economy. This debt burden could eventually erode confidence in the US economy and the dollar. Investors may start to question the sustainability of US fiscal policies. Another concern is the declining competitiveness of US manufacturing. The manufacturing sector, once a pillar of the US economy, is facing severe challenges. The United States has lost manufacturing jobs to countries with lower labor costs. This offshoring of jobs has weakened the domestic industrial base. This has contributed to a trade deficit and a decline in the country's industrial base. The trade deficit indicates that the US is importing more than it is exporting, which is not sustainable in the long run. The rise of protectionist sentiment in the United States is another potential threat. Protectionist policies, while aimed at protecting domestic industries, can have unintended consequences. Protectionist policies could disrupt global trade and harm the US economy. These policies can lead to trade wars, which can be damaging for all parties involved. This could further undermine the dollar's dominance. A weakened dollar could lead to higher import prices and inflation. Furthermore, political polarization and gridlock in the United States have made it difficult to address long-term economic challenges. The inability to pass meaningful economic reforms is a significant hurdle. This has led to uncertainty about the future direction of US economic policy. Businesses and investors thrive on stability and predictability, which are currently lacking. This uncertainty could discourage investment and weaken the dollar. When investors are unsure about the future, they are less likely to commit their resources. The confluence of these factors suggests that the US economy is facing significant headwinds. These headwinds are not insurmountable, but they require careful navigation. These headwinds could eventually erode the dollar's position as the world's leading currency. The future of US economic power will depend on how these challenges are addressed. Section 5. A world adrift. Potential consequences of a declining US dollar. A decline in the US dollar's global dominance could have far-reaching consequences for the global economy, affecting everything from international trade to geopolitical stability. One potential consequence is increased economic instability, as the world adjusts to a new financial order. The US dollar has served as an anchor of stability for the global financial system for decades, providing a reliable benchmark for international transactions. A shift away from the dollar could lead to greater volatility in exchange rates and capital flows, making financial markets more unpredictable. This increased volatility could make it more difficult for businesses to plan and invest, as they face greater uncertainty in their financial projections. It could also increase the risk of financial crises, as countries and companies struggle to adapt to a new monetary landscape. Another potential consequence is increased regionalization, as countries seek to insulate themselves from global financial turbulence. As the US dollar's influence wanes, countries may be more likely to trade and invest within their own regions, fostering closer economic ties with their neighbors. This could lead to the emergence of regional currency blocs, where groups of countries adopt a common currency or closely linked currencies. Such a development could fragment the global economy, creating distinct economic zones with their own financial systems. It could also make it more difficult to address global challenges, as international cooperation becomes more complex and fragmented. A decline in the dollar's dominance could also diminish the United States' global influence, both economically and politically. The dollar has given the United States significant economic and geopolitical leverage, allowing it to shape global financial policies and practices. A weaker dollar would reduce this leverage, limiting the United States' ability to influence international affairs. This could make it more difficult for the United States to achieve its foreign policy objectives, as other countries gain more autonomy and influence. The potential consequences of a declining US dollar are significant, with wide-ranging implications for the global economy and international relations. Policymakers around the world are watching these developments closely, assessing the risks and opportunities that come with a shifting financial landscape. They are also exploring alternatives to the current dollar-centric system, considering new ways to stabilize and grow their economies in a changing world.